to your practice. Today's it's going to be really important to have a block. So if you don't have a block, a book could work or a box could work. Something where you could, that's approximately the size. It could be a little bit wider, but something where you can press on the edges. Okay? Today's practice is about learning to use our core to help assist in backbends. So we're going to be doing some good core work, yippee. And it seems so counterintuitive when I think about it and try to picture this in the body, but I know it works, so I'm going to teach you it. But when you shorten the front of the spine, you have access to muscles that allow you to lengthen it. And that's also true in the back body. So when you shorten, or anytime you're tightening a muscle, in essence, you're shortening it, right? So as you learn to tighten the back muscles and use them, you also have access then to using them for length. So that's what we're going to be playing around with today to see if we can move into some back bending poses. And because hips are a great balance act to back bends, we'll be doing some hip opening too. So if you haven't already, bring your sitting bones back and apart so that you feel yourself sitting on the front edge of the sitting bones. Close your eyes and begin to deepen your breath. And you might notice as you sit on the front edge of those sitting bones that there's a tendency for the belly to spill. Like if you think of your pelvis as a bowl, and if you had water in that bowl, if you're sitting on the front edge of the sitting bones, there's a tendency for the water to spill out over the hips there in the front of the body, and that's that cow tilt shape. So how we counteract that is we pull the belly in and up. You draw the ribs down and in, and you bring the sternum in too. And now, as you use those, as your abdominals drop into your practice or become aware in your practice, and as you continue to breathe, I want there to be a sense of awakeness rather than grabbing. So I want you, as you continue to breathe here, to keep the actions that help you to lengthen the spine without gripping. So I want you to see how soft you can get without losing the length that you've created. So take the next few breaths, and I want you to really breathe through the nose, Ujjayi Pranayama. And with each exhale, what can you let go of without losing the length of your spine? I'm going to leave you to that for the next few breaths. And as you explore that, can you also deepen and lengthen your breath? What works for me is as we inhale, there is the lengthening of the spine, the drawing in or the awareness of the core. And with the exhale, it's just a letting go of anything that no longer you need. And what a good model for life, right? Letting go of those things we no longer need. Breath like that. Beautiful. You're going to just go ahead and open your eyes for our pranayama, which will then move into our centering practice. And our pranayama today is ego eradicator. And what I love about this pose is that when we move towards back bends, they can be ego deflating because they're so challenging, or at least I find backbends to be the most challenging part of my practice. And so it's really important that I let go of ego around it and I just get into experience and really work with how can I become more aware, how can I activate the proper muscles, what can I let go of, all those things. And so ego eradicator looks like this. We take the thumb and forefinger together, that's called Jan Mudra or Chin Mudra, depending on who you speak with. And we take our arms out in a big V. We're going to be doing this for 2 full minutes, and it's breath of fire. I'll guide you, but let me demonstrate first. So we take a big deep breath in, pause for just a moment, and then as you exhale, you begin breath of fire. It's a fluttering of the diaphragm and the belly, so it looks like this. And it's different than Kapalabhati, which is a more rhythmic, measured breath, about 1 second each. Breath of fire is really fast, and we're concentrating on the exhale. The inhale will happen. You don't even need to worry. But if you just do the diaphragmatic pump, then the inhale will keep you alive. And your arms, as you reach them up, it's like you're plugging into something bigger than yourself. So if you just focus on, whoa, I've got to hold my arms up here, I think you won't be able to make it. I think that it's going to be hard. But if you imagine that your arms are plugging into a greater force or idea or support system, I think you'll have a much better result. So let me set my watch, my timer, and we will begin. So I'm going to have you just start to take a couple Ujjayi breaths. Bring your hands up into your V. And on your next breath, we'll begin. So inhale deeply and begin. And if it makes you cough, go ahead and cough and rejoin it again. Or if you run out of breath, keep your eyes focused on the third eye point. Don't focus on this ending. Focus on being in the present moment and what you can do. Soften, hold, keep going. Just get as soft as you can, even with the strength of your body. Exhale completely. Inhale, bring your tips of your fingers together and hold the breath. Hold the breath, but let go of what you don't need to hold on to. Exhale completely. Let your hands rest in your lap for a round of Ujjayi, inhaling deeply, exhaling completely, and just take a moment to notice the effects of that practice. You might notice a little more softness on the crown of the head, and just for a fun little ditty, info ditty, is that oregano essential oil is really good for ego eradicating. So if you ever feel like your ego's getting in the way, put a drop of oregano on the crown of your head. Bring your hands into prayer. Take a pause to feel your hands, to feel into your body, mind, and spirit. To take this moment just to notice what you bring to the practice and what you would love to offer to the practice. And make that your offering. Inhaling, coming all the way up to sitting. And we'll seal that with a breath and an om together. Inhaling deeply. Deepen your breath. Blink open your eyes. Release your hands. Grab your block. You're going to stay here in this cross-legged position. You're going to have your elbows by your side. So I like to just tap them a little bit. That's also good for immunity, a tap there. But just feel the sides of your ribs and place your hands on either side of your block, your box, your book, whatever. And you're going to inhale. So I'm just grabbing that block. I'm going to inhale, shrug the shoulders a little bit. As I exhale, I'm going to start to squeeze the block. And as I squeeze, I'm working to externally rotate my upper arm bone. So I'm going to talk you through that again. As we inhale, we shrug and lift, side body long. Even get those shoulders to lift up a little bit. And as you exhale, you press the block and externally rotate the shoulders. Now keep going just like that for the next few breaths. And as you do, just notice what's happening to sit bones, the shaping of them, what's happening to your core effort. And a couple more breaths. See if you can bring the neck right in line with the rest of the spine. Inhale, shrug. Exhale, squeeze and externally rotate. Last one. Inhale, shrug, squeeze, rotate, and then release your block. And roll the shoulders, cleansing breath. And then just take a moment to rest the hands on the lap and just notice if your chest feels just a little more open. I hope it does. Bring your left hand to your side, just directly out from your hip. You're going to sweep up your other arm overhead. And as you do, I want you to release. Just drop out your inner right thigh. Just drop that sitting bone to the ground. Boom. Just release it. Pick up the belly and breathe. And see if you can just open up that space in that side body. I'm not so much trying to bend over. I'm more reaching and seeing if I can use that shrug of the shoulder and the external rotation of the upper arm to bring me into greater length, integration. Good. One more breath here. Reaching, boom. Drop that hip down. Think that you could press the imaginary block here as you shrug the shoulder and externally rotate the arm. Beautiful. Inhale. Come on up. Rest your hands on your lap and just take a moment to notice the difference between your right and your left side. It's pretty dramatic. Big cleansing breath. Exhale completely. Take your right hand, place it directly out from the hip. Inhale your left arm up overhead. Think diagonal pull. You can even imagine someone gently grabbing your wrist and pulling. Drop the left hip, boom. Just drop that sitting bone down. Try to feel it anchored on the mat. You might, or on your block. You might need to do that a few times, just because we need to kind of keep teaching our body what we want it to do. Can you shrug the shoulder? Can you press on an imaginary block and try to externally rotate the upper arm bone? It's subtle. Keep trying. Inhale, lengthen, shrug. Release sits bone. Press on a block. Externally rotate. We've got one more breath. With each breath, you get a little bit longer. Good. Inhale, release that. Bring the hand down to your lap and take a cleansing breath. So really, really good to open up side bodies before we go into back bends. You're going to take your hands, and so that was a good start. You're going to take your hands right on your ribs and just do some rib polishing. So what I mean by that is imagine your ribs sat on a polishing disc, like maybe sandpaper or something like that. And as you move in, it's almost like cat and cow just for the ribs. And you just polish the ribs as if they could polish the top of the tummy. If you were going to slice you right through the middle. And then go the other way. Just articulating, taking your time to slow way down. And to breathe. Good. Release that. Shrug and roll the shoulders. And then take your right hand and place it on your left knee. And I'm just going to take fingertips and place it on the left knee. I'm going to drop that left sitting bone and I'm going to lengthen up, remembering that side body long. And as I take a moment here, I feel the fronts of the sits bones. I feel in and around the spine. And I work at lengthening through the crown. A couple more breaths here. Very simple twist. And then from here, we stay twisted, but we move our hands to frame that knee. And you're just going to walk yourself forward. Don't pick up your right sits bone, so you might not get to go very far. But inhale, lengthen the spine. There's a little tilt, like a cow tilt. And then exhale, bring in the abdominals. And maybe you just get a little diagonal pull. Just breathe here. Inhale, it's a little bit of cow action. Exhale, a little bit of cat action. Last breath. Try to keep that right sitting bone drop down. Inhale, lengthen, and start to make your way up to sitting. And just rest for a moment and just notice any difference in the shaping, the internal view of the body. And then we take the left arm and tippy fingers onto the right knee, the other hand behind ourselves. And then notice both sitting bones and see if you can just drop them to the mat. And see if you can pick up, maybe even close your eyes and pick up all the energy. So we're actually moving into Pitta. So when you look at the Ayurvedic calendar, summer is Pitta. That means it's super fiery, it's hot, there's a lot of sun. There's a lot of fire in our natural world. So this is a good time to close your eyes because eyes are governed by Pitta and to bring yourself into an internal view. And just let that cool you off. Just bring coolness into the body. So I'm going to offer you that for your practice today to diminish any Pitta if you feel fiery or argumentative or rashy, or just hot flashes, anything like that, or just uncomfortably hot. You want to find things like cucumbers and things that bring coolness, kind of closing of the eyes. Inhale, come back to center. We're going to come up to standing with your little friends, the blocks. And you probably only need one, though you could double team this if you wanted. But we're going to start like we did last week, with the block in between our shins. So you're going to go for that thickest part of the shin. The feet are parallel to each other. And you just kind of got to soften those knees and squeeze that block a little bit. So it's hard to squeeze the block if your knees are locked. So I want your knees to be softly bent. And sometimes I have to do a little pigeon toe to get to that place where I really feel bent. Now remember that you don't want to pull the hips under. So drop the hips back. Just drop them back. Beautiful. And then as you squeeze the block, you very gently start to move into tiptoe. So as we inhale, we go tiptoes, and feel free to have your arms out to the side if you need a little ballast, or you can have a chair nearby or a wall nearby. And you want to use every bit of the breath cycle to lift up and down. So that full inhale on the tippy raise. Take your time, and the full exhale on the dropping back down. And I find this not only a really good way to bring mindfulness into my practice, I think it's a really good way to bring energy, strength, awareness into the legs. And by the way, when we do back bends, we really need to use the strength of the legs. So keep going. Got a couple more. And if you feel achy, you get to say to yourself, hallelujah. Because achiness means that we're building muscle. And we want our legs to be super strong as we age. Couple more. If you're feeling achy, you can pause for a moment. Otherwise, try to keep going. Here's the last one. Inhaling, feeling yourself going evenly on the big toe and the pinky toe mound, and exhaling. And I bet you just built some nice pitta energy. Go ahead and reach for that block because you might be sweating already. Shake your legs out. Take a cleansing breath. You can roll the shoulders. All right, let's bring the block up into our inner thighs. You might have to bring your feet a little closer, but again, making sure they're parallel and that the knees are soft and that you're not squeezing the block forward, you're always squeezing it back. So there's a tendency as you squeeze it back to lock out the knees. So as you squeeze it back, soften the knees forward so you keep this nice lumbar curve in the spine. Here we go. If you need to touch something or arms out for ballast, you just squeeze that block. Use that squeezing action to lift you. Imagine you could squeeze and lift all the way up to your sternum and drop it down, all 5 counts or so of the breath. Squeezing and releasing. You're still squeezing even as you're coming down. I meant releasing the breath. Keep going, find your own rhythm. If you feel like you're getting a lot of pitta, soften your eyes. So sometimes as we get working really hard, our eyes get buggy, and that's really strong pitta, so we want to balance that by trying to soften the eyes inward. Inhaling and exhaling. This is so good for spinal stabilization, sacral stabilization, getting those adductors, those inner thighs, really learning to be strong and fiery. I think we have one more in us. Squeeze and lift. Beautiful. Release that out, shake it out. And now we're going to come down onto our backs and work with some core work. So come on down onto our backs. We'll get it done right away. You're going to come all the way down with your feet on the floor and your knees up. We're going to work for abdominal bracing. Haven't done this in a few weeks, so it's time. So arms can come out in T, and you just take a moment sitting here to notice whether you're more in a cat tilt or a cow tilt shape. So if your back is hanging on the floor, that probably means cat tilt. That probably means your sitting bones like to tuck under a little bit more. If you notice that you've got more of a lumbar curve, hooray, hooray. If it's too much, balance it out. So find your midpoint, find your even spine, and then bring your knees up towards the chest. So now your legs are at a right angle, and you're neither catted nor you're cowed. You're somewhere in between, so the abdominals are working. You're going to place your hands on the knees so the fingers extend beyond the knees. You're going to push your hands into the knees are going to push back, and then you start to traction your hands to the sky. Here we go. Push, push, traction, and pull. And the pull refers to the low belly, the ribs, and the sternum pulling down towards earth. And you want to get shaky here. You want to really feel this. So push, push back, traction up, and pull the belly, ribs, and sternum down. And breathe. Lots to do here. Really work it. You want to burn out those external fibers and get deep inside to those deeper, stronger core muscles. You're almost there. You can do it. Breathe deeply. Got about 12 more seconds left. Might feel like the longest minute of your life, but it's going to be a really good minute of your life. Almost there. And release. Drop your feet to the floor. Take the feet as wide as the sticky mat and just give yourself a couple windshield wiper pose. Just to easy does it, just to flopping back and forth. Gives a little bit of stretch to the belly. Breath. Because we got one more of those. I know, that was a long minute, but I think you can do it. So here we go for second time's a charm. You bring the legs up into a right angle, hands onto the knees. There's a pushing into the knees push back. The hands traction up to the sky, and the belly pulls strongly down. And we breathe. We know that when we make our body, our core stronger, our stabilizing stronger, it also makes our mind stronger. It stabilizes our whole system. So you're getting double your money's worth today. Double your effort. And push enough that you start to feel a little quivery. It's easy to just back out of it part way through and forget that you want to bring the effort up. Keep breathing, steady breath. Get shaky. Good job. Release your feet to the floor. Take them wide on the sticky mat. Drop them into windshield wiping. And just let you take big deep breaths in and big deep breaths out. Okay, here's another nice one I really like. I think it's quite difficult, but I've been trying to cultivate it, and I feel like it's working, so I want to teach it to you. You take your hands and you place them on the side of your skull, so you're not interlaced behind your head. I've got my thumb on the bottom side of my ear and my fingertips around the top side of my ear. So they're just holding onto the skull. And then I push into the skull and lift my head up. Now I'm going to try to go round the clock. So I take my torso and I'm trying to roll it in a circle. So I come up and then across the body over to the other side and back down and around. It's like roundabout sit-ups. One more in this direction, and then go the other way. And use your breath. Exhale is the effort. Last one. And release down. This time let your hands glide behind your head so that your fingers are interlaced. Just very gently traction out the back of the neck. And then lay it back down. Stretch your arms straight up overhead on the floor and interlace your thumbs. Take a cleansing breath. Beautiful. All right, we got one more. So we got lower abs, we got upper abs. Now we're going to kind of get in the middle of the abdominal world. So this time, your hands are interlaced behind the head, and you're going to bring your left knee into your chest and your right leg out, so it's just hovering off the floor. Inhale. As you exhale, right elbow to left knee, and you're going to imagine that traction action, or the bracing action. So the elbow tries to touch the knee pushes back, the elbow tractions up, and you pull the body down. Last breath. And release, both feet on the floor, cleansing breath. Beautiful. Second side, bringing right knee into the chest, extending left leg out long. You're going to bring left elbow to right knee as best you can. If you can touch it, awesome. Push, push, traction and pull. Push, push, traction and pull. One more. And release. Take a cleansing breath, moving into like a cow tilt. So you just start to arch the body. Beautiful. And release. We got one more each side. So left knee into the chest, right leg out long. Inhale deeply. Exhale as you touch elbow to knee. Push, push, traction, pull. Last breath. Oh, and release. Woo, think cow tilt on your inhale. Let the belly expand. Stretch out those muscles even as you're making them stronger. Okay, here's the last one. You can do it. Right knee into the chest, left leg out. Inhale. As you exhale, push, push, traction, pull. Last one. Oh, beautiful. Keep your knees up. Grab your knees with your same side hand and do full circles. Whew, isn't it nice to know that we've done that now? And now you just get to reap the benefits. Good. Let's go the other way. Other circle. Other direction. Okay, bring your knees together. Actually, we have one more. I lied. Take your hands down by your sides. So your palms are face down. My hands are right next to my hips. Face down. I'm going to inhale and tap my toes to the floor. When I exhale, I'm going to think extreme cat tilt, and I'm going to shoot my legs up into the sky. If you want to watch a couple times, you can, and then join us. Or if you got it, join us right away. So inhale, toes are to the floor. It's a little bit of a cow tilt. And as you exhale, cat tilt and shoot them up. Inhale, tap. Exhale, Inhale, tap. Exhale, Inhale. Use your breath. X. In. X. In. X. In. X. One more. In. X. Beautiful. Now just keep those knees in and start to roll, rocking back and forth along the length of your spine until you come all the way up to sitting. And if you're a super achiever, you can try sticking Navasana. Whew. Take a couple breaths there. And then cross right ankle over left. Reach forward like someone's got your hands at a diagonal so that you can hinge forward at the hips and find that cow tilt. And then exhale, cat tilt as you bow forward into the first hip stretch of the day. Take another breath or two here. We're going to move back into a really short Navasana, tippy toes to the floor, long spine, lifting up. Inhale. As you exhale, opposite ankle, left ankle crosses over right. Reach up and forward. Reach for it. Get that hinging of the spine. And then there's that cat tilt or that core abdominal support as we bow forward. One more breath. All right. Come on up. Find one of your blocks. Cross your ankles and come all the way onto your belly. So it's going to look a little bit like Sphinx. We're going to do the same thing that we did with our blocks. So we can place the block so it's kind of tall on the wide side. And you just have that same pushing on the edges. I'm going to tuck my toes here because that helps protect my back. And I'm going to bring strong muscle energy up into the hips, up into the booty. And then I'm going to squeeze that block, shrug the shoulders, externally rotate them. So same action, right? So as we inhale, it's like a lengthening. As we exhale, it's an external rotation. You might notice you start to feel the shoulder blades coming back together. Now, if you get any pinching in your low back, it means you have to have a little stronger action in legs and abdominals. Keep breathing, externally rotating. Shrugging, squeezing, rotating. Last one. Beautiful. Release that block out in front of you. Come onto your forehead, onto your stacked hands, and just rock your legs underneath you a bit. And you can even do a little, like a tail wag. Find that so good for just releasing tension out of the low back. You can rest your forehead on your stacked hands and just enjoy a few breaths here. Okay, from here, our toes stay tucked under. We press our forehead down on the hands, and we lift the hips up into the sky. And you're just trying to create leg strength and leg action all the way up into the booty, and then see if you can use your abdominal effort to lift up even more. Last breath. Release. Take a cleansing breath. Beautiful. Place your hands down by your chest like you're going to do a push-up. Only we're going to come up into like a cobra, but I want you to lift your hips up off the mat. So what I find happens is when I'm really tight in my back, I really don't like to do cobra coming up first because it's tight. So if I stand on my strong arms, so my elbows are straight, and I activate my legs as if I could squeeze around a block right in between my thighs, and then I do that block work with my hands. So I think I'm pressing an imaginary block. I lift up, I externally rotate the arms, and slowly let the hips come down. Take your time. There's no rush with this, but you want to activate the arms a lot, and you want to extend the crown of the head, and let your legs be strong so that everything you're easing yourself down into a cobra, and you're just warming up. One more breath. The elbows are soft. Beautiful. Now lay your belly down and all the way down onto your tummy. Take your hands down by your sides, turn your head to the side, and just take a cleansing breath. So we're going to do that again. So bring your hands by your chest, and you always want to make sure when you're weight bearing that the shoulders are as high as the elbows. Then from there, activate the back muscles and see if you can push up until your hips are off the floor. Usually, sometimes I have to walk my hands back here. Good. And then you make your legs strong as if they're squeezing an imaginary block. Soften the elbows and then go shrug, block, squeeze, and external rotation. If you start to get any pinching in the low back, you need to make the legs in the belly stronger. And you're just trying to let gravity help you unravel. Shrug, external rotate, elbows soft, heart emerges. One more breath, crown extends, and then release yourself down. Take your hands down by your sides, turn your head to the opposite side. Rest. Beautiful. Place your hands by your chest. Shoulders are as high as the elbows. Use your feet and back muscles to push up to tabletop and back to child's pose. And here's another thing I like to do. So I'm just kind of setting you up here for lots of different ideas. I like to pull back, but I like to catch my forehead on the sticky mat. Sticky mats are so handy because they're sticky. So at some point, catch your forehead on the sticky mat, and then it'll glide a little bit, but glide your hips back and try to keep at one point your forehead stable. So you literally get traction here. You might even try taking your hands, stacking them on the back of the head, and holding and gently stretching in the opposite direction from your tail. And just slowly ease into your child's pose with this nice little body work, traction, breath, until you arrive and then let go. One more breath there. Beautiful. And then bring the knees together, kind of sneak them together. You might have to come up a little bit, and then start a cat tilt.
So start at the very base of the spine, pull the belly in and up, head hangs down, and you just unravel and roll yourself up to sitting.
Take a cleansing breath when you get there. Reach for your block again. We're going to come back down onto our tummies with our block. This time we're going to have it flat so it's not up so high. And you're going to squeeze it more like an L. So my thumb is on the side of the block that's facing me, and my fingers are on the side of the block that would be the side of the block or the book. And so the hands look a little bit like an L. And I'm going to tuck my toes under. That for me just helps me activate legs and get them really clear. Okay, and then I want you to squeeze the block and externally rotate the shoulders. If that brings a little tightness into your back, you bring up the belly. Hey, keep that and then drop your chin down. We're just going to get a little stretch for the neck. Now turn your right ear to your right shoulder. Let your left shoulder bear down and move out to the left. Breathe. Beautiful. Drop your chin to the chest. Take a breath. As you exhale, move your left ear to your left shoulder. Root down through your right elbow and open, externally rotate your right upper arm bone. Release, chin into chest. Take a breath. As you exhale, right ear to right shoulder. Strong external rotation of left shoulder. Get that nice stretch for the neck. Drop chin into the chest. Inhale deeply. Exhale, left ear to left shoulder. Strong block squeeze on the right. External rotation. Beautiful. Release that. Take a breath. Look through center. Bring the hands back by your chest. Think cobra, pressing down up to tabletop and back to child's pose. See if you can capture your forehead on the mat if that's accessible to you. And then slowly come back. You can even press your hands on the top of on the back of the head so you get a little extension. Good. One more breath there. Okay, come up and reach for your block again. This time come back into child's pose and bring your elbows forward as far as they can comfortably and your block overhead. So we're still in the block squeeze, and you can bring the block maybe behind the occiput. And then once again, start to squeeze the block. See if you can get a little minor shrug of the shoulders and an external rotation. I feel like we're cleaning out a lot of tension around the shoulders when we do this. Squeeze, shrug, rotate. Breathe. Squeeze, shrug, rotate, breathe. One more. Okay, now take your head and press it up into the block just for a little neck action. And release everything. Come up to downward facing dog, and this one's yours. This is my gift to you today, because we just started practice just with a lot of effort. So you get to do your downward facing dog the way you like to do it, just making sure knees stay soft. You can pendiculate, you can swing and move and bend and straighten, yogi's choice. You can even move your heels in and out. Deep breath. Take your time, explore your body. Feel where you need more muscle energy, where you need more core energy, and where you need to let go. Last breath here.
walk your hands back to meet your feet. Ragdoll. You can take your feet as wide as the sticky mat. Bend your knees. Drop your body in between your legs and rock left and right. Oh, big deep breaths in, big deep breaths out. Notice if you notice any sensations in your upper body, if you feel a little looser already, or at least a little warmed up. Okay, you're going to come down onto your knees and reach for your block again. You're going to place the block flat on the floor in front of you for dolphin pose. So that means it looks like downward facing dog, except you're on your elbows. So you're going to make your L shape around your block, and your elbows are strong on the mat. Your head hangs. You let go of the head, but you do a little bit of a shrug, a press, and an external rotation with the arms before you do anything else. And then you press up to standing like downward facing dog. I highly recommend soft knees and wide feet. And then you shrug, you press, and you rotate. Add some abdominals. And breathe. Two more breaths, you can do it. Beautiful. Drop your knees down to the floor. Untuck your toes. Sit on back like child's pose, but start to roll up like cat tilt. And you get there, interlace your fingers, roll your shoulders. I can tell already that you're doing a great job. Yeah.
Where's your face in dolphin?
It's just like, I would focus less on your face and try to get more sensation in your neck alignment. So bring your neck in line with your spine as best you can. That means the sides of the throat have to lift up. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's try it again.
Is your head on top of the block?
Well, no, not really, but it is close, so it may feel like that. See if you can lift up out of your shoulders a little bit to get it off the block. Does that feel helpful, Kathy?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try that again. So bring your hands to that L shape around the block, and right away go for your shrug, your squeeze, and your rotation. And right away, before you go up with your legs, can you find your neck in line with your spine? So take a moment to feel into that. So for me, I'm looking down somewhere between my wrists and my elbows. I'm not sure if that's standard for everybody. And then tuck your toes, press, shrug, rotate, and lift. And your feet can be wide and your knees can be soft. Your shoulders want to be right over your elbows. See if you can draw in your abdominals and see if you can angle your neck into the length of the spine. Breathe. It's a lot of work. You might find yourself quivering like we did in our bracing work. Last breath. And release. Sit on back, untuck your toes, and roll yourself up to sitting. And just rest your hands in the lap and take a cleansing breath. Let's see if we can use some of those new skills in our Surya Namaskar practice. And let's see, just take a moment here and looking straight forward. My eyes are closed. And I'm just taking my mind's eye into my chest region, into my upper arm region. And what I'm noticing is just a lot more awareness. And I feel like kind of proud of myself, like just a little more healthy pride in my upper chest, if that makes sense. And I'll be curious later on, you can tell me if you noticed anything. All right, we're going to remove our blocks. You can have them towards the front of the mat if you know you need them for Surya Namaskar. Otherwise, come up to standing. We did a lot to get here. So take a moment to review in your mind's eye the squeezing of the shins, the squeezing of the inner thighs, and the awakening of the chest and the upper back muscles. So helpful for back bends. Bring your hands into prayer. Take a couple breaths here, softening through the knees, feeling your feet strong on the floor. Exhale, release your hands. Inhale, fly them overhead. Exhale, dive forward, belly strong against the back. Knees are soft. Inhale up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees. Take your right leg back to a straight leg lunge. Fingertips can be on blocks or knuckles or fingertips, whatever. But I want you to feel into that back foot. Lift it as high as you can and bring that lift up into both booties. So both booties are just feeling like they're super proud to the sky. One more breath. As you exhale, drop the back knee to the floor and untuck the toes. Come up halfway, belly strong on the back, letting the arms dangle down. Take another breath there. Just feeling into that. That might be enough for you. If you want more, inhale, fly your arms up overhead. Beautiful. One more breath. And then release your hands down, tuck your back toes under, rock forward and back, Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana, knees soften. As we exhale, bend and take the left leg back, straight leg lunge. Note that that front leg is square, the shin is right over the ankle, and I come to the tippiest tippy toe of that back foot, and I bring that tippy toe lifted energy all the way up into both booties. My heart reaches forward. Inhale. Exhale, drop the back knee to the floor, untuck the toe, strong belly as we come up to dangle the arms. Just feeling that stretch of the back thigh. If you want to go on, strong legs, strong core. Inhale the arms up overhead. One more breath. Think of your bracing work. And release. Step your right leg back to plank pose. Take a pause there. Think of those tippy toes lifting the energy of the legs and the belly and the ribs away from the floor. Use the strength of the legs as the knees are soft to press your crown forward. Inhale. Exhale, drop your knees to the floor. Think of the work that we did before, reverse cobra. So the legs can stay tucked. The elbows draw back. We go shrug, squeeze, and externally rotate the upper arm bones. And you let yourself come gently, slowly in through a reverse cobra. Inhale, cobra to tabletop to child's pose. Take a few breaths here. Inhale, tabletop. Move into cow shape. Exhale, downward facing dog. Take a moment, yogi's choice. If you need more stillness in your own life, keep your downward facing dog still. If you need more motivation or movement in your life, start moving the body in downward facing dog. There's so many choices in yoga, and Ayurveda really teaches us that our body is nature just like the rest of nature. Sometimes we're too pitta, sometimes we're too vata, sometimes we're too kapha. So you just want to find your way to challenge and move yourself into balance. Last breath. Beautiful. Inhale, tippy toes. Walk your way up to the front of the mat, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Utkatasana. Pick up one of your blocks. Bring it into your hands. Push. Elbows stay dropped, but you push, shrug, and externally rotate. Feel how the shoulder blades come together and maybe even closer to the booty, like they're shortening the back muscles. And then press down, strong abdominals, lift up to standing. Exhale, release the block to the floor. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead. Exhale, dive forward, Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana, same thing, soften your knees, left leg back. Straight leg lunge, left leg back. Come onto the tippy toes if you need to squeegee them back a little bit. Strong back leg lifts up until you feel both booties inflate. Heart is moving forward. Beautiful. On the next exhale, drop your back knee to the floor. Untuck your back toes. Push on back. Abdominals are engaged till your arms dangle. Take another breath or two there. If you need to wait there, and that's okay, you can do that. Otherwise, inhale, fly. Think about the work that we've done so far. The shrugging, the external rotating, the shortening of the back muscles, and the drawing in of the core. And see if you can move into a little mini back bend. And then release. Bring your hands to the floor. Rock it forward and back, Uttanasana. Standing forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Press up to Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend your knees. Right leg back to a long lunge. Fingertips to the floor. Tippy toes on the back leg. Squeegee that back leg and lift it up high. See if you can use your legs to press your heart forward. One more breath here. Exhale, drop the back knee to the floor, untuck the toe. Arms dangle as the abdominals pull you up. One more breath there. If you're ready to fly, go ahead. Inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Think about shortening the back body and the front body simultaneously. See if you can bring yourself into more of a back. Beautiful. Release that down. Step on back to plank. Strong legs, soft knees. The legs drive the heart forward. The abdominals lift away from the floor. From the leg action, inhale. Exhale, knees to the floor. Reverse cobra. Take your time. You can keep your toes tucked under or untucked. I just want you to keep squeezing and externally rotating the upper arm bones as you come on down. Inhale to cobra, to tabletop, to child's pose. Good. For a little break in our Surya, inhale to tabletop. Take your left arm up to the sky. As you do, pause there. Look down at your right hand. I'm going to need to walk myself a little bit more forward so my shoulder's almost over my wrist. I'm going to press my right hand, that's the one on the floor, down and wide to open up and to stack my left shoulder over my right. So we do the same thing with the right arm. There's a little shrug, a strong push of the block, and an external rotation. A little bit different configuration, but same actions. Exhale, release it down. Take a cleansing breath. Shall we try second side? So inhale, take the right arm up to the sky. Put your attention on your left arm. Because I notice with myself that a lot of times that standing arm likes to rotate inwardly. So I'm going to push it down. I'm going to shrug, externally rotate, and feel that action helping me to stack my ribs. One more breath. And release. First side again. Inhaling, left arm up to the sky. Use your right arm right away. Now exhale, bring it through. All the way to the left shoulder. The right hand can either stretch out on the floor long, or it can come to the crown of the head and open the elbow.
Breathe. Breathe into what's tight. One more breath. Can you stack one shoulder over the other? I find when I think about shoulder and hip stacking, I use muscles that are way different than I normally do instead of just thinking twisting. All right, right arm up to the sky. Take a moment to press that left hand down into the floor and wide. And then exhale, swing it through, down to the right shoulder, left arm either straight up overhead or at the crown. And then you just open that elbow to the sky. Can you think instead of twisting, can you think about stacking shoulders and hips? Because they're stacked in different configurations, but they're still wanting to square themselves. So the hips are more in a horizontal plane, and the shoulders are trying to stack in a vertical plane, but nothing gets collapsed. Everything is pressing and rotating and opening and active. And then gently release that. Come up to tabletop. Inhale for cow. Exhale for dog. Take another couple breaths here just to cleanse and center and breathe and feel. Beautiful. Inhale up to tippy toes. Walk your way up to the front of the mat, Uttanasana. Inhale halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Utkatasana, grab a block. Bring your block in front of you. Squeeze, press. Yeah, bring your elbows into your sides. Shrug and externally rotate. Deepen the pose. Bring in the abdominals. Press the block. Press your feet into the floor. Come up to standing. And then exhale, release to the block, to the floor. Bring your hands into Samastihiti. Take a pause. Take a cleansing breath. I hope you're starting to notice this amazing muscle action in the upper body that now you have access to because it's awake. When it's not awake, we don't know how to use it. Okay? Inhale, lift your heart from inside the body. Exhale, release the hands. Inhale, fly. Exhale, dive. Inhale, press yourself up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. Bend the knees, take the right leg back to a bent knee lunge. You're going to keep the right hand on the floor, but we've learned already that that weight-bearing arm, for some reason, often likes to turn inwardly. So I'm going to shrug it and externally rotate it. The other arm is going to sweep around. The left arm is going to sweep around behind me. It looks like a hitchhiking thumb. I just sweep it around. And then take a moment to check out that standing arm again. Notice what's happening. Shrug, push, and open. Then you kick up the back foot. If you can, you reach it. And I like to bend my reaching arm so I don't lock out the shoulder. And then I use that foot and that arm to open and stack the ribs. One more breath. Beautiful. Release a little bit of the effort and just bring that foot in just a little bit more to get a little more stretch, to open up that front body. Good. Then release it. Tuck the toe under. Take a pause. Take a moment. Let the body adjust. Breathe it in. And then go ahead and push back into a hamstring stretch. So you're just pushing hips straight back. You can lift the toes of the left foot off the floor. And then let's just go back and forth, inhaling into a lunge. And take your time. Let this be a super long, breathy work. Exhale into runner's lunge. Keep going. Inhale. Let the heart move forward. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And inhale. Last one, and exhale. From here, you can start to rock it forward and back. Step that right foot forward to Uttanasana. We'll pause here for another breath. Breathing up into those hips, those legs, so that they're wide back and apart. Think about your blocks here. They're a really good opportunity to find that internal squeeze. And then press yourself up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, soften knees. Take the left leg back to a bent knee lunge. Pause and put your attention on your left arm, your weight-bearing arm. Because if we don't know what our weight-bearing arm is doing, we can get ourselves into danger when we do weight-bearing poses. So we shrug, we externally rotate. The other arm sweeps forward and around like a hitchhiker's thumb, and you reach back and grab that back foot. Soften the elbow so that you can stack your ribs one right over the other. Use your abdominals to help you here. Good, and then release out of that a little bit and just bring the foot in for a thigh stretch. Beautiful. Release that out. We're going to step back into our plank pose. Using the strong yet soft legs to push the heart forward and to engage the core away from the floor. Inhale. Exhale, drop the knees. Start to see if you can shrug and squeeze your imaginary block. Externally rotate the shoulders. Pull them back as the heart moves forward to reverse cobra. Beautiful. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, come up, take cow tilt. Exhale, take dog. One more breath. Can you imagine that this is a little bit like a back bend? Because you're trying to give yourself a lumbar curve, and the shoulders are trying to shrug, externally rotate, and plug into the upper back. See if you can feel that. Neck in line with the spine. One more breath. Does it feel differently than most of your dogs from all that prior work? All right, exhale, drop your knees to the floor. We're going to move into camel. So I'd like you to take a blanket unless you really feel comfortable on your knees. And I would like you to have 2 blocks. And we're going to take this in a really slow progression so that you can take your time to pause and stop where you need to pause and stop. So the first iteration is just to have, you're standing on your knees, your hips are over your knees, and then take your hands and place them in fists. And the back of the fists are going to sit at the very top of the booty. So you're not quite on your hip bones, you're kind of underneath. And your elbows are moving straight back, and you're just going to push your booty into your knuckles. So that'll keep us from dragging the butt under. So you just kind of keep pushing back. Take a moment to just breathe into this. I find sometimes this can be really healing for the back because I have to be moving into a back bend, but I'm also not shoving my hips forward into their sockets. So take another couple breaths here. If you like that, you can stay. Can you imagine your shin block and your thigh blocks here? So your strong abdominal lift. And then if you want to go farther, you just start to glide back and you see if you can get the lift into your upper back. So think shoulders lift, arms externally rotate, and you lift up the heart. Inhale, press down, come on up, sit on back into Vajrasana.
So you can stop anywhere along that path that feels like it's your opportunity for exploration and feeling into a pose that feels pretty good. So remember that hugging around the spine is really crucial in many ways, not only from the bottom, but from the back hugging together and the front hugging together. Then we have full access to lengthening the tissues. So here we go for second choice, second time. You can do just the same thing. Toes are tucked under. Make fists. Place those fists in the back of the upper booty there, and you just press back. That might be enough for you. Otherwise, you start to draw in around that spine, shorten the back, shorten the front. See if you can press down and lift up your heart. If it feels good to you, you can reach for your heels or you can reach for your blocks. Try to avoid the tendency to shove those hips forward. Think of squeezing around the blocks and pulling them backwards. And I think you'll notice the unraveling of tension in the back bend. Press down, stand up, and come on down to sitting. Take a cleansing breath. Just enjoy how that feels in the body. We've got one more.
Okay.
Oh,
question.
Yes. Just like scared me. Go.
Are the elbows coming in towards each other?
I suppose ideally, but I'm not too worried about it. But, we did that with the block before. We hugged and shrugged and squeezed and opened them. So maybe yes. Maybe yes. If that keeps you working these shoulders, because you want them to shrug, externally rotate. So
Okay.
it's the same action that we did in all those other block poses. So try it and let's see how that feels. I wasn't focused on it, so I wasn't quite ready for that question, but in pondering, yes, I think so. But that's hard for some people to keep those elbows like to flail out, don't they? So let's try that. Let's come on up. Tuck those toes under. Bring your fists to the back of the booty. See if you can bring fists. At the same time, can you shrug and externally rotate? That might be enough for some of us. And then you draw those muscles around the back of the body, the front of the body. If it works for you, you try to arch and come on back. Hands to the heels or to blocks. Go ahead, soften your elbows so you have access to shrug, external rotation, and lift. One more breath. And press down and come on up. Sit on back in camel and in Vajrasana and take a breath. Take a rest. So when we've done back bends, we don't really want to do strong forward bends, though you can do a child's pose. So I think what would feel really good here is if you had that blanket, just to bring it into the body and do a nice little hug around the waistline. I just got one wrap over there. And then you press down and you roll forward over that blanket into child's pose. I have to stack my hands to reach my forehead. So now we're breathing the spine into the other direction without straight legs, without pausing. Because sometimes when you go from back bends into forward bends, the tissue has a little hard time reabsorbing into its neutral shape. And so you're asking it to do it too fast. So we just want to go with really careful forward bends after back bends. This would be considered a careful one, especially with the support of the blanket. A couple more breaths here. Right. Walk yourself up very gently. You're going to come onto your backs. We'll finish up with one baby fish and then a couple hip stretches and a twist. So coming onto your back for one final back bend, and if you're super confident, you could translate this baby fish into full wheel. You could even go up against a wall with blocks. I know some of you know how to do that already. Just make it your own practice here. I know that not everybody has walls and blocks and things, so we're going to keep it simple. Elbows into the sides. Think shrug and external rotation. And you should feel the whole back of the arm now. Press that down. Inhale, arch the spine. Pressure on the back of the head and lift. Such a simple back bend, but powerful. We try to be here for about 10 breaths. See if you can feel the action around the back of the spine and the front of the spine simultaneously to produce length in the spine. We're about halfway there, so keep breathing, keep rotating, keep pressing. Keep your awareness working in the pose. And release. Take a cleansing breath. Inhale. And exhale. Go ahead and step into your feet and lift your hips up off the mat. Interlace your hands underneath you. Roll the shoulders. Think shrug and external rotation. Now here you can stay just right there, or you can lift on tippy toes and see if you can get the heels of your hands underneath the booty, the upper booty there. I have my hands spilling over the sides of my hips, pointing up to the sky. I'm going to practice shrugging and external rotation. If I can put my feet back down on the floor, I'm going to. And I'm trying to pull the booty more towards the shoulders to shorten up the back body. I'm going to pull in the frontal abdominals. And then very gently release and come all the way down. And just sparkle your fingers a little bit. Okay, you're going to take your right, that's called an ankle, right ankle over your left. Notice if right away you tilted or spilled a little bit to the right. If you did, come on back to center. Take a cleansing breath here. Find that central line, that Sushumna Nadi. Inhale deeply. As you exhale, you can reach through the window of your legs and come into a more challenging Sukhi Randrasana. Otherwise, you can always stay in the first iteration. And if you'd like, you can even bring your hands around the front of the left shin. I like to do that, and then I like to move into an expanded cow shape in the back. So I'm really working to open up those hips and keep the neutral spine. And breathe, drop the shoulders. Couple more breaths here. Breathing life into those tissues as they stretch. It's like you're inflating them, right? It's like you're trying to bring in all that breath and awareness into the body. And gently release that left foot to the floor. Stay focused. Listen carefully. Don't change this shape so that right ankle stays glued to the left knee. In fact, you can take your left hand and glue it so that that's pressing. Keep that and drop out onto the outside of the left leg until that right foot touches the floor. Take your hands out in T. Release any effort. Drop it back down to the floor. One of my favorite twists. And if you have a block handy, you can even place a block on your upper right thigh and push that thigh away from you. I forgot to prep you for that. I don't have a block handy, but if you do, a block on that right belly into the right upper thigh, and then you press that with the left forearm. Just enjoy the unraveling of tension as you let go in this pose. Big deep breath. Releasing effort. Remember that at the very beginning of practice, we tried to see how soft our innards could be. All right, second side, use your belly. Pull those legs up, unravel the pose, take a cleansing breath. Second side, standing on your right foot, drape your left ankle over your right knee. Notice if you spilled to the left or to the right. If you did, center yourself in this practice. Sukhi Randrasana, eye of the needle pose. If you're ready to move on, swing your hands through and around your right thigh. Notice if you swung left or right. If you did, try to make yourself a little bit more even again. If you need more of a challenge, you can wrap your hands around your right shin. And I like to play there with a little cow tilt and a little breath into both hips. One more breath. Drop that right foot to the floor, but don't change anything. Use your right hand to glue the right ankle to the left ankle to the right knee and drop out onto the outer right leg. Hands come out in T. Breathe in a twist. If you have a block handy, place it on your upper left thigh and push it away. It just sits on the top of the left side of your belly. This is a great pose for stretching psoas. Great post back bending workout practice. One more breath. Make it count. And gently release. Coming on up. If you want to take just a brief happy baby. I didn't leave much time. I apologize. You've either got to have a short happy baby or a short shavasana, yogi's choice. Remember, you can always return to shavasana or stay in shavasana when class is over. And remember, all happy babies play in this pose. They don't just stay in one shape. One more breath here, unless you decide you want to stay. I'm going to bring the soles of my feet together in a prayer, place them down on the floor, and then from there stride them out into Shavasana, palms face open. Bring something to cover you if you're cool at all. Big deep breath in as you exhale. What can you let go of? I find back bending practice are super inspiring. So it seems like the perfect time when we're feeling strong and inspired to make a commitment to letting go of some things that keep ourselves down a bit. Whether it's a belief or an idea or just a habit, now's a good time to practice letting go. Notice how much easier it is to breathe into the heart space, to inspire from the word to breathe into your heart space. Inspire yourself towards your offering. Breathe it into that place. Deepen your breath. As you continue to deepen your breath, you're welcome to start to move and wiggle and stretch. If you absolutely want to stay, please be my guest. Otherwise, you'll start to stretch and move and gently make your way up to sitting. We'll meet in Sukhasana with hands in prayer. And you'll just enjoy the breath as you come into your final seat. And you'll enjoy, I hope, the way that you're sitting, the way that your sitting bones are on the earth, the way your heart is uplifted and hopefully a little inspired. We take this last moment in our practice to give thanks. We give thanks that we have the ability to come to the practice, that we have space in our lives and the time. We're so grateful for people to practice with, our yoga community, and that we have teachers to inspire us and guide us. And we take a moment to share some of what we gain and just spread it out into the world. See it moving out like a beautiful blanket of inspired love around a hurting planet. And we'll seal that with a breath and an Om together. Inhaling. Namaste. Thank you for sharing your practices with me. This video, please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos. Namaste.